Alrighty guys, bad news for this Chrysler 300 2013 I want to say model owner. Okay, and what I'm talking about is he came in and complained about transmission complaint. Usually that's why I would be dispatched the ticket, because of the word transmission. Remember, I was once the transmission man. That was back when we was overhauling transmission. Nowadays everybody's an R&R guy. We just simply replacing them. But you got to be careful with that, because chances are, slim chance that it may not be a transmission problem. For instance, yes, this thing goes in the limp end. He say, however, they neglect to tell me about the ABS light that was on. All right, yes, this car is standard equipped with ABS. So when ABS and the transmission information clash, now this is not a NAG 1 transmission, guys. There's no like external speed sensors on these transmission anymore like in the past on a 8-speed or a NAG 1. The NAG 1 use a plate and get a lot of this information from the wheel speed sensor from the ABS. This one right here, 8 HP transmission, there are some speed sensors, but it's inside the transmission. You got a Hall effect sensor in the rear that will monitor the output shaft, and of course one monitors the input shaft. So technically they are speed sensors. They're just not external. Well, you can't replace them. You can't just reach up there and replace them, in other words. All right, you got to remove the pan and the valve body and all that stuff. But you got to be careful, and I want y'all to understand this, okay, especially as it relates to the fault codes. Okay, I got fault codes in the trans and fault codes in the ABS, but they similar. They both relating to speed sensors. Okay, they both relating to the speed, what's going on with the speed sensors and the input data. I can show you better than I can tell you. Let's go over to the computer. All right guys, so here's my topology. As you can see, we got codes in the EPS, ABS, and TCM. This is for some other reason. Now let's take a look first at the ABS. No, let's go to TCM first, because this is what he complaining about. That ABS light was on, but he didn't say jack about that. You know why? Because you can still drive with ABS. If your transmission affected, you may go in the limp end. So you pick you prioritize your concerns. You're more concerned with moving at a high speed than having ABS. No one really cares about ABS, I guess. Let's take a look at a TCM. All right, we're gonna go on the DTC. Here are my codes. All right, here's the number. Here's the problem. Top one: transmission inhibited remote start. This one right here: output shaft speed, wheel speed correlation. P1DB6, vehicle speed signal performance. U1412, communication code, implausible vehicle speed signal received. That could be coming from a module. Module in question happens to be the ABS. Now let's take a look at the codes in the ABS. All right, DTCs, here we go. Now here's where we got a problem right here. You see this code right here? This is the main one. C2200 stands for analog brake module internal electronic failure. Guys, when you got, and it's picking up a problem with the left rear speed sensor, but when you see this code, all bets should be off. Now granted, it's not active. In other words, I'm in the module, so it's not to the point where it's dead on the bus, or I wouldn't be able to get in and read fault codes. It wasn't read on my topology, but I can, which means it could be an intermittent problem. Very well could be. But at any rate, if I were you, I would ignore the transmission problem until you get this fixed. For instance, let's go back to transmission. I'm going to show you something. Let's pick a fault code. Vehicle speed. No, let's do this one right here. We're going to go look at the diagnostic for output shaft speed. Where'd it go? Okay, we're going to click here. Let's look at this diagnostic. All right, this is the diagnostic you're supposed to follow if you have that code. Now, you know, I'm no different than any other mechanic. I go straight to possible causes. Here are things that will cause that code.
You get this? The very top one. Loss of communication with the analog brake system. Imagine that. We got a loss of communication failure code in the ABS module. So back to my point, because of the relationship between the transmission and the ABS is crucial. You might want to fix the ABS first and then check the transmission. Okay, another possible call, incorrect tires. Yes, I warned y'all about that. Please make sure your tires are the same. Mechanical driveline failure, no problem there. And of course, the TCM could cause that. So nowhere in here does it says a sensor could cause this code. Loss of communication with ABS. Now let's pick on another code. Let me go back. We're gonna do vehicle signal. Let's do this one. See if there's any relationship with the two. Let's go straight to possible causes. Ladies and gentlemen, the possible cause that will cause P1DB6 is, yep, you see that? Analog brake system DTCs are set. So they're basically telling you, go, hey, ignore this. Ignore what you're seeing over here. You would think the engineers would program this thing to prioritize fault codes. In other words, don't let a mechanic see this. Because your average cousin Pookie mechanic, man, you need a transmission. Yep, I got speed sensor codes. I know, don't worry about your ABS. You need a transmission. And that will lead to misdiagnostic. So the very first possible cause that could cause this code is analog brake DTC. And I do have a ton of DTCs in the analog brake. So the moral of the story, here's what I said all that to say this. Ignore freaking TCM problems. Ignore the transmission problem right now, because you got bigger problems with the ABS. And you know what? Let me go back to the car.
The customer has even bigger problems. You know why? Because this thing is discontinued. This is the ABS module. Yeah, it's crazy, man. This guy out of town. He drove from out of town. It's, you know, he had problems shifting, and he figured he'd stop by. Well, I'm not going to address your transmission issue. All right. I think it's 100,000 miles on this thing. You know, I'm definitely not going to sell a service, because that's not going to affect anything. We need to stay focused and zone in on the ABS module, which we cannot get anymore, or we cannot get right now. I don't know if they on interlacical. Oh, well, hold on. Interplacable. Hold on, I'm gonna get it. Intergalactical. Is that it? Back order. It's on back order. How about that? Yeah, let me stop trying to use these big ass words. The damn thing is on back order. Or it's just been discontinued. I don't know. At any rate, that's worse news than, you know, previous. So I only make this video to keep so you guys will have heads up, because the relationship, let me say this again, because the relationship of the transmission and the ABS module is critical. The relationship, they share a lot of data, a lot of speed sensor data, a lot of everything. You have to address the ABS first before you diagnose anything related to transmission. All right, that's all I have, man. I hope y'all got something out of this damn video. Don't go sticking no transmission on no car like this just because you see speed sensor there. You know, Cousin Pookie, I hope you listening. All right, guys, I gotta go. Thanks for watching.